Alright, today I am finally back with a video on some art that I made. It's been a minute, but it's been a long process making this project, okay? I had this idea come to me a couple years ago. It was basically like someone said to me, I think it was my dad, he said that it would be cool if I had some kind of like parody designs in my style, the way that some people have like collectibles in a parody style or a satire style of popular brands and whatnot. So I kind of sat on it for a while, and then I decided to try to do something related to like sodas, like soda pop and stuff. So I decided to make a mini fridge filled with sodas of my own design. So I'll show you how that went. So this is kind of the ugly stages where I was even trying to figure out like what's the bottle gonna look like. I knew I wanted to incorporate my butt logo and have it be a little bit different but pretty similar to regular soda shape. So I came up with a simple spiral for the neck of it, the body of it, simple coil like helix thing, and then the bottom I just made 6 big old circles, and that seemed like a stable enough base. But then for the top I wanted to incorporate my butt logo design, and I had a hard time getting it to look exactly right in 3D because I'm not used to it yet. So I tried a lot of ludicrous ideas to try to get this shape to look right. But in the end, after trying a couple things, what I ended up doing, look, I even went into Blender. I even tried a whole new software to see if I could make this work and like sculpt the shape. I was trying everything. I was downloading new programs trying to make this work. But I'm no sculptor. So I went back to what I was doing, and I just decided to take a slice out of this bigger one, and that looked about right. So I just sized that up, and that was kind of like a good compromise for me, because I figured that would be better for the soda bottle anyway, to have a more like flat-ish but also kind of extended, like puffed out, like convex shape, just like regular soda bottles do, but still having my logo on there on each side. And then the cap was pretty easy. The top and the cap, you know, easy, basic 2-liter shape. And then to give it that real like convex shape, I basically make 2 cups that are holes, and I cut away the edges to give it a more like bloated, bubbly look. Now for the logos themselves, I tried to use the in-program like form drawing tool, and I thought that this would be like good because it was just a drawing tool, but then it's 3D. I discovered that this has a lot of limitations in this program. Like what I'm making is relatively large, and it has to be relatively large, and then you have to try to scale it down, which is a little bit annoying if you're trying to get real small detail. So I think I only ever did this one in this style, like this method, because I was just trying stuff out, because I ended up picking 12 different sodas to copy or steal, I mean parody off of. Definitely no plagiarism here, I promise. But obviously I decided to go with one of the hardest ones first, thiCC, a parody of Coca-Cola. And I knew that was going to be hard because Coca-Cola has that script logo, the very fancy kind of cursive-y logo. Making it in 3D was a bit much. You can see in that like little window in the top how it's all coming together in 3D space while I'm drawing it. And it was just a lot of like editing a little bit at a time. Not quite as satisfying as drawing, that's for sure. So I had to do thiCC and cola separately, but I figured that was good. I could kind of get the shape right. And then I just stuck it right in the middle of the base there. Now I decided I still wanted the letters to have that convex form, so I used the same cup hole apparatus from earlier. And then the words have the same form as the bottle now. Oop, there we go. And then everything is cohesive. I could just slam that on my 3D printer and go. Or at least that's what I thought I was gonna do. This was the first one, so I was in the test phases of this whole project. Everything got much more hectic after that, trust me. Much more difficult, but I thought we'll do some test prints to see what size I want it to be. The next thing I did while those were test printing is I was working on the Dr. Pepper logo, or Dr. Thick for me. And instead of drawing it, I was looking at the logo and it looked pretty geometric. So I was like, okay, I think I could do this one with shapes. Because I didn't really like the drawing thing in this program or website, whatever you want to call it. So I decided to go with shapes. And obviously, it's a whole different method, but it came together in practically the same time or faster, you know what I mean? And these look pretty precise as far as letters go. And I wanted to mimic all the swooshes and things. It was pretty tricky getting all the angles the way I liked it. But I had to end up redoing all of this. This design gave me the hardest time. You saw me put doctor on it, but at the end there is no doctor. It couldn't print it, it was too small. But no, this literally gave me the biggest set of problems. At some point when I was trying to like merge these shapes together and whatnot, the program was taking forever to register that they were being put together. So me just trying to get this shape in the program as one cohesive piece was like breaking my brain with annoyance. It took forever. There's a lot of footage that I cut out of me just like trying to do the same step over and over again in slightly different ways to try to figure out what the problem was. But if I'm not mistaken, eventually I just like started over with Dr. Thick and made it different. And just like straight up changed the form so that way it was 3D printer friendly. I have a little rant here coming up about that whole process from the whole printing perspective, because that bottle, the Dr. Thick bottle, was the bane of my existence throughout this project. It probably ate up like 2 to 3 months of my time just in designing the bottle in 3D space, because it didn't like certain things going together. It didn't like trying to send multiple things as one STL. It didn't like a lot of stuff. And then after that it got even worse. Okay, so now that I finished that one bottle, I did all the testing with test printing and making this goddamn machine work. Okay, I worked with it for days, for hours. All right, many test prints. The test prints, I'll show you. The test prints for, in my opinion, the most complicated one, the Dr. Thick. I wanted them to be, you know, about this big, but look at this, okay? I'm sure with this super excellent camera quality you can see this, but like, that's supposed to be a number right there, and there's basically nothing there. Like, it just wasn't printing it well. So I was like, okay, this size is a no-go. And even at 100% of like how it was designed, like, because like, okay, in a computer it's this big, okay, but when I printed it, I wanted them to be smaller at first. But even at like the scale, like 1:1 that I was working with in the program, it's still not good at doing these skinny edges at all. Just breaks off, and then these small numbers that are supposed to be here are just no good, not good at all. So I was like, whatever, and then I sized it up to 150%, just like bigger to see how big it needs to be. And it's good up here, but the numbers are still bad on both sides. And I had to do the 2/2 thing, because apparently after this tall, when you're like, if my hand is the print bed, that's the nozzle, right? It just starts like wobbling it around on the print bed, and every single time it just breaks off halfway through the print. And I had probably half a dozen prints that just came off the bed because I was still trying to print all tall instead of just cutting it in half. So the solution was to cut it in half and then stick the 2/2 together when they're done. But even this, so like this, even this was a no-go, okay? So I was like, well, I'm not making it bigger than this. This is already like huge, the size of my hand. So I had to rework it a bit. And I haven't glued the new one together yet, but you can see the difference. I moved the number, I made the number bigger, and I thickened up all of the parentheses, all the edges. Yeah, so it's like completely different, but still recognizable, hopefully. And the numbers actually came out. Like, look at that. It actually came out as numbers. So I can finally. So I guess with this being the hardest one, that was what I needed to print it at. And it took, I want to say, 16 test prints. God, that's a lot of test prints. But that's why I test print on the hardest one, so that way all the rest of them could be a breeze. So I spent a few weeks on this, okay? Like multiple weeks working on this. And then I'll show you what it's like Here's how it should go. Basically from start to finish, I just put one in the environment, right? And then I create a big void that covers exactly half. Make 2 of them. Then I've got a left half and a right half. This part does take a second, where it just kind of figures out what half really means. There we go, the other half. Alright, there we go. And then I take each half, I save each half as its own STL, simply because it will take less time to figure out how to do 1 piece than 2 piece. So I just call it sun thick half 1, and then the other one will be half number 2. And then from here, I just go into the slicing software for my printer, Cura. And then from my 3D models, I pull the 2 halves I was just working on into Cura. Here they are. And then, like I said, I don't actually want to be printing them up and down. So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees, and it'll automatically put it at the bed level. And then I need to size these up. I'll just size it up to 150% scale, both pieces. And then I also kind of just want them to be next to each other when they're printing. Makes it easier. I have the layer height pretty low for higher quality. Usually it's 0.12. I have it at 0.1. Wall thickness at 1. 2 lines for the wall count, so that way it's a little thicker. I tried it at 1 and it was squishy, and it needs to not be. Infill density 10%. Any less and it just kind of prints weird. I tried to print with a different infill pattern, and sometimes it was actually the infill pattern itself that was causing problems, because the infill lines would cross over each other just to fill in the empty space of the thing. And for some reason, those paths are not programmed well enough, and the extruder head just keeps smacking into the lines that it already put down, and it ruined so many prints. Past that, I have it going at a lower print speed. My bed usually goes, I guess the printer head extrudes at 250 millimeters per second most of the time. I have it down to 150 because I hate having to redo prints. Very annoying. I have support printing on it, but that's only really because I have this bottom part here that's got nothing in it. A little bit of a cavity. But the whole reason to flip it on its back like this is so that you don't need to remove supports from the key detailed parts of pieces like this. And then for the build plate adhesion, I actually have raft, simply because I'm tired of these things coming off my print bed. I use glue and everything, but sometimes shit happens, you know? Especially when I was trying to print it all up and down like this, just like flat. It would just come off the print bed constantly, so the raft is something that has been helping. So that's how I have fixed the problems. Yeah, basically, to sum up that little rant I just had, because I was very frustrated when I recorded that and I had finally found the way to do it. I couldn't print stuff up and down. I had to do it side to side like that because it would just tip over. I had to change the first layer setting so that everything went slower so that it stuck to the bed better. And I had to... It was a nightmare. Just a lot of testing. And then after that, it was so smooth. Back to the designs now. I decided that I wasn't going to work on any more designs until I figured out the 3D printing problem, because I was trying to use the time that these were 3D printing as design time for the other ones, but nothing's perfect. This one is obviously just a ripoff of Sprite, and I couldn't come up with a clever, thick pun or wordplay that sounded good to me. And Sprite's the most boring one, because let's be real, like, they say Sprite is lemon lime, but, like, you know, Sprite is just like tonic water with a hint of lemon on it. So I found a way to just draw in Photoshop and then pull the black and white drawing from that, make it into an STL. So for these next few, what I'm doing, going into Photoshop and just tracing out the logos or designing the logos in black and white in like a silhouette, I guess. And then there's a program that changes STLs. No, it changes JPEGs into STLs, because black pixels will get turned into like a 10 height 3D object, and then white pixels are nothing. So it's super easy to get like very accurate STLs from drawings that way, and I chose to do that for pretty much the remainder of this project, because working in the program itself was just not it. It was just not working the same. I was more easily able to keep the objects as one object instead of trying to merge multiple little shapes into one thing, which the program was happier about. But so far I've done Dr. Thick, thiCC, thiCC, Sprite, or just Thick. And then this one is Starry, the new Sierra Mist. I just called it Thicky. Most of my enjoyment from this has been like saying the names out loud. It's just really funny to me. And that's one of the main reasons why I liked this project and kept going, is because it's kind of funny to me overall. I really think it is entertaining. And I don't know if anyone else has done something like this before. I haven't really checked though. And at first I was like, I'll do like one design, post one design, but I hate doing like one little thing. I wanted to do a bunch. Yeah, this really is just a shitty tracing of a shitty drawing. Oh well. This one ended up being pretty fuzzy off the print bed, simply because the entire design for the thicky was like outlines. So it had to try very hard to get those details right, and it wasn't always perfect. It was a little stringy, a little hairy. but we pay the price for quality. I honestly tried to do Mountain Dew, but the letters didn't look right fitting into the Mountain Dew format, and like thick dew, mountain thick, I don't know, it just didn't hit me right. So I opted to do thick yellow instead of mellow yellow. Can you imagine drinking a bottle of thick yellow? Like, what the hell is that? What flavor is that? If you imagine what it could be, some funny things probably. I did think long and hard about which ones to pick for this, design wise, and like whether I enjoy the product or not as well. This one I tried to import on a diagonal and it made the edges real fuzzy, so I imported it straight up and down and it was a lot better. So I just took the straight up version and tilted that instead. Easy fix. But I feel like this is all starting to look kind of the same. Oh, not anymore. I guess trimming off the edges of the thick yellow used an extra hole. There we go. Alright, next is Sun Thick, one of my favorite designs. Instead of Sun Kissed, Sun Thick. A little bit of cursive work. I was gonna think about doing Crush, but I couldn't think of a good word thing either. Like Orange Thick, Crush Thick, I don't know. It didn't work out in my brain. I didn't like it, so I went with Sun Thick. It had a nicer ring to it. And I chose an older logo, I think. Some of them I did pick old logos to copy instead of the new ones. Like Mellow Yellow's new logo is just a black M and a black Y. It is really lame and I wasn't about to copy that, so I went with the older logo. For thiCC, I did go with the older, not super old, like minimalist lowercase Pepsi font, just because that's it. Just, I don't know, it was more different than the other ones and I do like it. I know it's not classic, not everything has to be classic. Starry had that classic look. One of the other ones I really wanted to incorporate were some like non-soda bottles, because not every vending machine just has soda. You know, there's Snapples, there's Arizonas, there's Waters, there's Powerades. So I ended up picking Snapple and Gatorade to copy. And there's a lot of flavors. So one of the things that I was very happy about, some of these sodas are like straight up, like Pepsi looks like Pepsi. It's got that look of cola brown liquid, you know what I mean? You could get cherry Pepsi or whatever, but that liquid's gonna look the same. Some of these sodas that I picked, like Town Club soda and the Snapple tea and the Gatorade, stuff like that, I can pick whichever flavor of those I want, which helped me get variety in the final product. Because not everything has to be cola colored, and a lot of these ended up being green because there's a lot of lemon lime out there. I ended up picking, what was it, Sun Drop, Sprite, Mellow Yellow. Oh, I swear there was one more, and the Snapple. The Snapple had green on it. There's a lot of green. But I don't drink tea, so I wasn't about to pick any other Snapple than the strawberry kiwi one, which is pink and green. I wanted to incorporate that Snapple sun into this. I kind of recreated that. That was probably my most satisfying one that printed, was the thiCC. Pardon my cough, I'm sick. Oh, Faygo was fun. No, Faygo might be one of my favorites too. I combined the more current loopy Faygo font with the old badge that they had behind their old logo. This one I actually got to put like a little bit of shading on it. It was really fun. Oh wait, no I didn't. I lied. I took it out. I thought better of it. For the badge, oh my god. For the badge, I took the shape of it and I flipped it because I thought that it looked a little bit like a butt when it was flipped over. Just like my logo. thiCC. Once again, I'm just drawing these in Photoshop and then turning them into an STL file to bring into Tinkercad, and then slapping that onto my existing 3D models to make the soda logo designs. I think 10 out of 12 of them used this method. The first 2 were experiments and they did not go super well. This one was interesting though because I had to make kind of like 3 different shapes. The letters themselves, and then the big drop and the little drops were separate from each other. So even though it was a simple-ish logo, I still had little things I had to do different and little challenges to think about, which made it more fun. There we go. Nice little thick drop logo. Every time I saw a logo come together in 3D, I was like, oh, I got really excited. Like, this is gonna be really cool. I don't remember exactly what the flavor is for the town club. It was like Aloha Punch. Hold up. I'm gonna look this up. Blue Town Club. Honolulu Blue. Yeah, it's Honolulu Blue Cream Soda. That's the one I picked for this. But when I was a kid, I would always just grab the orange one if I was getting town clubs. Town Club and Faygo were the 2 that had like a ton of different flavors. I would get the red pop Faygo all the time. The reason I picked the flavors I did for some of them were just for variety and color though. Like, I don't usually drink grape soda, but on the thiCC bottle, I did make it grape. And then amongst all the sodas, I noticed there was a lack of blue, so I made Gatorade blue because blue is the best Gatorade flavor. And then the Honolulu blue from Town Club, just for the light blue and the color difference. Some of these logos have borders around them. Like Gatorade's got a nice little border and a little white thing that the letters are on. And I just like, nah, I skipped that. That's too much work for me. But I get to claim that it's an artistic choice and an intentional transformation from the original. But really, it's just a little laziness. Look at that, a little thick raid. Man, we're getting close. We're getting pretty close. When I started making the fridge, I originally thought that these bottles are going to be printed a lot smaller, so I was going to try to have 4 of each flavor for a total of, what's that, 48 soda bottles in the fridge total. That would have been ridiculous, and I had to scrap that. But my original idea for the fridge was to print them with like diagonal corners, so I could just like glue them together and they'd be at like a perfect right angle. And then I thought that's not the most stable, so I put some pins in it. And I was literally thinking about this like it was a woodworking project. I was thinking about these 3D printed pieces of plastic like a woodworking project. And that's not the way to do it. But I do spend quite a bit of time here lining up dowel holes. Don't look. This rough draft of the fridge did not make it very far. The second version of it, though, I thought better. I was like, okay, well, these bottles are going to be printed bigger than I want them to be, so I have to adjust. And I was like, alright, I think I just have to do 1 of each. I can't do 4 of each. That's too big. So I got the volume of the fridge mapped out, and then I started adding some details. I didn't worry about the mechanics of it. I was like, I need to just do the aesthetic first. I made a box, 2 shelves, and then I put some kind of like detail bits on the inside, like a little vent, some lines or recesses on the inside that are kind of like ovally shaped and stuff. You know, shapes you see when you go on the inside of refrigerators, you know what I mean? And I added some material where the hinges would be, because I wanted the door to open and stuff, so I made real hinges. And I've seen them on other soda fridges. I looked at like a couple of reference pictures for this before I went in, and I basically had that material there so that the hinges had something to bite into and hold the door in place. But yeah, I was slowly watching this come together, and I was getting more and more excited. And now the parts were meant to be printed with the holes in them, so that way the pins in the hinges would just fit real snug and everything would work out. Put little feet on it, put the most basic door handle on it, and then details I wanted to add were silhouettes of the soda bottle. So I got one of those kind of mocked up, and I stuck a couple of those on the sides. The way I see, like, if I walk into a place and I see a Pepsi cooler, oftentimes it's just a big ass bottle printed on the side of the fridge, covered in water splashes and shit like that. So for one side, I put the year I made this, a silhouette. I put thick Sodies, and then 216 because that's my number. For the top, I didn't want to do the silhouette. I wanted to just get my butt logo on there, and then the name of it after that. So I got the butt, and then I got thick Sodies. Not a whole lot of thought going into the rest of these decals. The other side is literally just a big silhouette, and then thick Sodies, like not too much thought. And then the back side, just a little stamp, so that all sides are branded. And then the last thing I wanted to do was make a headpiece, something to stick on the front that was kind of something to make it less boxy looking overall. And I had these foolish ideas of making it like clip on, but I took those pieces on the back off and then just stuck the panel on. And this is what it looks like when it's printing. I do not have a fancy camera that lets me get the fun lapses to get the good like visuals. So this is what you get. This is what it looks like when my shit 3D prints. And if I were to try to record it, this is what you get. I wish I could do those cool ones where you just like see the surface and then over time it just goes and like forms in front of you. But I can't. I don't have the software for that. The camera software for that. So that was the bottle. Here's what the walls look like. I ended up printing the shit in chunks. So the main compartment of the fridge got printed in 4 chunks. Let's go back. Radata. Then look at this. There's structure going up the side to keep the little details and things intact. But I had to do it in so many chunks because the flat corners on the edges would always curl up during printing, and it was like 4 to 7, no, literally maybe 7 or 8 test prints before I finally found out how to stop the curling. And I just like had to keep it away from the like major corners. I had to keep it under a certain length, otherwise it was just gonna like completely curl up and ruin itself. Like this piece of paper right here, it would always just do this under the stress and the heat if it was too long across or whatever. Every step of the way with printing there was issues and problems to overcome. I ended up discovering a whole host of settings in the slicer that I did not know about, and I went for hours looking through trying to figure out what was different. But after they all got printed, I got a base coat of white on pretty much everything. Spray paint white, so that way, or gray I guess, so that way I had a surface for the acrylics to stick to. And then I just went at it with acrylic paint. Probably each surface, no matter what color I was using, ended up getting at least like 6 layers of paint just to get the vibrancy I needed. And I didn't record all of it because the painting is kind of, you know, kind of boring, and I didn't always feel like recording it, but I got some footage of me painting. You can see glimpses of what else I was doing in the background sometimes. And getting in all those crevices was a bit of a pain sometimes. I often used a heat gun to dry it when it seemed like it wasn't drying fast enough, or if certain areas were not getting the, you know, drying up. This is that strawberry kiwi Snapple flavor I was copying. I liked it because it was pink, and I do like strawberry kiwi. Gatorade kind of sucked a little bit because they often have a gray label, and I think that that gray is lame and they shouldn't do that, but I had to copy it, so I made like a blue gray as a compromise to myself. And then for variety, I made the thick go, the grape flavor. After assembly, I got really excited. I forgot to record the assembly, which I'm very sad about, but here it is after I glued everything together and it was in working condition. That was printing while I was painting some of the bottles, but that was so many different prints. 4 for the main body, 4 for the door, 2 for the decal on the top. All of the feet, you know, everything. It was just a lot. But I was very happy when it finally all came together. The white is just drying glue, dried glue, I guess. I just used super glue. I didn't do anything too fancy, and it's holding together like super well. Super well. And then here's I got so excited I had to show everyone, my friends and family and stuff. But I even put the little blank bottles in there. I had some of them done, some of them not. Yeah, I was so excited. I even dropped my phone here trying to show it off, and like getting a light on it and everything. Trying to get good lighting because it's a black object, and I'm trying to show off the dimensions of it against a black table top. Yeah, it was nuts. Oh, I was too excited to show off, and I wasn't even done yet. When it's finished, it looks like this. All the soda's finished. I put a piece of plastic on there to look like a glass door. I got it painted in my favorite colors, and I could not be happier with this. Literally 2 years from the original thought to finish. Every soda looks magnificent. I'm like absolutely in love with this project, to be honest. I could stare at it forever. I'm just watching the footage like, whoa, you know. Like, that's really real. Like, I 3D printed this. That's crazy. I'll show again this footage at the end so you can see the final again, but I'm just so happy with it. This process was very fun, even though I had to learn a lot and overcome a lot of obstacles. I got to do a lot of mixing paint and making colors. That was fun. I got to learn some technical shenanigans. That was nice too. I got to work in 3D space. You know, a lot of creativity in this one project. At least I hope it's creative. I am just stealing ideas from other people's designs and ripping them off and making them with my name on it. So not the most creative, I guess, but still pretty cool, pretty cool. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please come through to my website at www.thic216.com. All my favorite designs are there. Come through to my Instagram where I have all of my published works, only bangers on my Instagram. My Redbubble page features all of my best designs on some wonderful merch. All kinds of clothing, mouse pads, hats, anything you can think of. Shower curtains, stickers, laptop cases, phone cases. Here I am displaying a nice hoodie, classic design, a pillow. Who could do without a pillow? Nobody. Everyone needs a pillow. Very soft. We've also got prints. Any kind of print you could want. Posters, metal prints, framed prints. We've got zipper bags, zipper pouches. Put every pencil, every pen you've ever had in there. Mouse pad, desk pad, game mats. Anything you could think of. I've even got a bath mat and a shower curtain. Also come through to my TikTok, small videos there, and then my YouTube for all my full-length videos, and Fiverr if you want me to make art for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is one of my most ambitious projects and the most satisfying that I've made so far. At some point, I do hope to get the STLs online in like an Etsy shop or something. So if anyone even cares at all, probably won't, because like, why would you? This is a very unique and personal design, but I can make this available if anyone wants the files for these. But once again, I had the most fun making these. It's so funny having my name on all these sodas. Saying them out loud is funny. Thic-A-Cola, that's pretty funny. Thick Club Soda, that's pretty funny. So I just really satisfied in almost every way possible. The painting, the 3D printing, the 3D designing, every part of it was rewarding. And even though it took so long, it's definitely worth it. Long projects end up being my favorite. Hopefully, though, I can give my brain some rest with some shorter projects in the future. Because the last two projects I've done have taken up too much of my time. And I want to be able to have more output, I guess. Less problem solving and more artwork. So I'll probably get back to what I know. Not that I don't know this, but it was definitely a learning experience in a couple of ways. But thanks again for watching all the way through. I know I've shown this footage again for the second time in this video, but I love it so much that I wanted to watch it again. So I just keep watching it, and I keep looking at it in real life, and I keep taking all the soda bottles out and looking at them, and it's just so much fun. So much fun. Thank you very much. Have a great one. Thanks for watching my video. Come through to my website, link in the description. Bye bye.